Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Reggae Up Yourself Podcast with me, your host, the Fuchaman, and people you can see and scream. We got the amazing Tanya Lacey. Hello, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm really good. How are you, Future?
I am very well, thanks. It's a real pleasure to actually catch up with you. I haven't seen you in a long time, and I feel so
Yeah.
privileged to have this opportunity to actually have a
Um, Thank
conversation with
you. It's good
you.
to be here. Thanks for having me
Oh,
on the
you're
show.
most welcome. You're most welcome. How have you been keeping in this lockdown?
Do you know what? I've been okay because I've been doing a lot of writing and a lot of
Mhm.
teaching and
Yeah,
going out for runs and just back to the basics, just looking after the
yeah.
basics. Health.
That's amazing. I've been doing a bit of running myself too, so I'm kind of shaping
Yeah.
up. The old boy is shaping up a little bit.
Good.
Yeah. And before we get into it as well, you just mentioned that you've been teaching. What is it that you have been teaching?
So I teach creative artistry at degree level. So
Oh,
that
wow.
that is that includes songwriting, collaboration, marketing, band skills, stagecraft and presentation. It's like a mixture of all of these different elements that are part of the creative artistry degree.
Wow.
And I also teach diploma. So I teach live performance workshops at diploma level as well. So it's a nice mixture of different levels and abilities. So
Wow.
yeah,
Where have you been my entire life? I feel like I need a further lesson.
in the
Where have you been
studio.
all my life?
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. All right. So I'm even more excited now than I was before. So, okay. So where exactly are you from?
um, where I was born was in Bristol.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was born. That's where I was raised. In terms of my roots, my mum and her family are from Antigua,
Mm-hmm.
small island, Antigua and Barbuda,
Mm-hmm.
and my dad and his family are from Bristol, from the UK. So I'm mixed race. I'm half black, half white.
Yeah. Amazing. You're like the third mixed race artist I got on my show in the last week now.
Yeah. What
I
other
got
mixes have you met?
I have got Alicia Scott yesterday, which
Oh
is
yeah,
Wales, and her appearances from Wales, Cardiff.
yeah.
And I've also got the amazing Eva Lazarus, which
Oh
is also
yeah,
Jamaican, England as well. So, wow.
yeah.
And I got a question that I asked them actually that I'm going to say for you later as well to see what your
Okay,
response to it is. But
okay.
before that, I will need to find out where exactly in Bristol are you from?
I was born and raised in St. Paul's in Bristol.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Get a girl.
get a girl.
All right, cool. Yeah, man. Big up St. Paul's and Eastern and all of Bristol, of course. And so you were schooled in Bristol?
Yeah, so I went to a secondary school called St. George, which is now the academy. The academy.
City
Yeah,
Academy.
City Academy, yeah. And
Yeah,
it's completely different to how it used to look when I used to go to school.
yeah. Oh wow.
We used to have our science lessons in these almost like mobile homes. So you
Yeah.
had to walk up this little mini sort of ladder slash stairs to get into this what felt like you were in a mobile home, and there were like Bunsen burners everywhere. And that was when we had
Yeah.
our science lesson. But I went back a few years ago, and it's just like a completely different school now in
Yeah.
every
Oh,
way. So yeah, it's interesting
amazing.
how things change.
I only know it like the way it looks now. So
Yeah, it
yeah.
looks like, top of the range,
Mhm.
everything's so different.
Yeah. Do you wish it was going there now when it's like this?
No. It had character. I'd never
Yeah.
change anything about my past or where I've been. It had so much character, and yeah, I look back at it with good memories. So
Oh, that's amazing. So, at what stage did you actually start singing, and what it is that make you start to singing from I understand it was from a young age. So, at what age was it, and and how did this all happen?
it wasn't like overnight I just decided that I was going to be a singer or that I was going to pursue music. I was really shy when I was young. And I
Yeah.
remember there were key times in my life when I was younger
Mhm.
that it were like turning points for me when I realized that music was something that I could do.
Yeah.
And so my one time was, there used to be a pub called the Great Engineer, which is like, it used to be in between St. Paul's and Easton. There's a flyover over the
Yeah.
M32, and now it's flats, but it used to be the Great Engineer. And I
Yeah.
remember my mum getting me up to do karaoke with her, and I was just shaking and I didn't really know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So that was one time. But then there was another time I used to spend a lot of time at St. Paul's Adventure Playground.
Yes.
My mum's a nursery nurse, so what was great about that is we could go to work with her essentially, and she would be, working, and we'd be able to play at the adventure playground. And I remember one day there was this activity, it was this singing activity, and there were a few of us in the area. We were just kind of recording ourselves singing Destiny's Child, I think, at the time. And
Yeah.
one of the members of staff recorded me and said, "Oh, I'm going to keep this cassette." This is back when it was on a cassette tape. He said,
Yeah.
his name was Sean. He said, "I'm going to keep this for when you're famous because you've got a really good voice." So
Yeah.
little things like that, kind of, when you're young and you're impressionable, it gives you a bit of confidence, and that's really important in development. And then in school, during my GCSEs, I remember writing lots of songs, and I started writing songs in the form of poetry, and
Yeah.
then adding melodies to my poems was a very organic process. And it was my teacher, my music teacher, Miss Hughes. She
Mhm.
got behind the piano and she started figuring out the chords that would go with the song I was singing to her a cappella.
Yeah.
And after we'd done a few run throughs of the song, she kind of looks at me and goes, "You're really good at this. You're really talented at songwriting."
Yeah.
And then I just carried on, you know, writing songs, but never really thinking anything of it. I just enjoyed doing it, and it was my way of expressing myself. It was like my own therapy. So
And how old were you at this point?
so I started writing songs around the age of 13, 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's incredible. My next question is, can you remember that first song that you wrote?
Yeah.
You can?
Yes.
What was it called?
Who do you think you are?
Well, I think I know who I am, the future
Who do
man.
you
And
think you are?
but I am really pleased that you remember that song, because it would just be rude and inappropriate not to ask for like a cappella to see what you sound like, what you were writing at 13.
It was a it was it was a song about a boy who actually, I don't even know if it was based on fiction or if it was a mixture of like my feelings towards a boyfriend at the time or something.
Yeah.
But the chorus went something like this: "Who do you think you are? Calling my house and say you've gone too far. And now you're following me in your car. I don't think so, no. Telling your friends that I'm still your boo. Listen, clearly I am over you. Tell me you understand that we are through. So move on, cause I was very influenced by Destiny's Child.
Wow. You could write something like that at 13.
Yeah.
Now you sound like you was born to do that. That's like, even now, that's a song that's like, should be like, you can release that now like you wrote that today. That's is like class. Seriously, that's
Thank
class.
you.
I could see that. I think you should actually release that now. I think
Release it.
you sound like
Nah, not
something
just
that,
yet.
come on.
I might do a B-side on something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's funny, but I mean, like, wow, I am quite impressed by that actually. That sounds like a grown-up song to write at age 13.
Thank you. I think because I was listening to a lot of, I've always been I always absorb a lot and I love to learn. And I think when you've got a child like that
Yeah,
who is very impressionable when it comes to melodies, I understood what notes together made a melody catchy and memorable,
yeah,
and I just kept going with that. And I
mm,
see that in other students that I teach now. I
yeah,
do workshops with young people, and you can just tell the people that they have this intuition when it comes to music. They know the formation, they know the formula without knowing that they know the formula. It's just very organic for them.
yeah.
And yeah.
So my next question is, who was some of the artists that influenced you at that point? Apart from
So
Destiny's Child.
yeah, so Destiny's Child, Brandy, Monica, Seal, Mary J. Blige, Pink, Michael Jackson,
Mhm.
Maya, Mace, Jigger,
Yeah.
um, The Locks, Mystical. um, Lots. I was into a lot of American hip hop.
Yeah.
Um, it was, yeah, a lot of American influence actually. When
Mhm.
I think back to it.
So I've noticed that your style, which is
Mm.
actually one of the things that actually explain or show how talented you are, is like your music style is like very varied. You do a lot
Mm.
of different kind of style of music as well, and reggae music as well.
Yeah,
What,
so that's
what
how I
reggae?
started.
Huh?
I started with reggae
Yeah.
properly. You know,
Yeah.
I'm thinking grassroots level.
Mm.
My introduction into the industry was via reggae.
Yeah.
I auditioned for Laid Black. They were looking for a female lead singer for the band.
Yeah.
I auditioned, and as soon as I got in, I was straight away in the studio rehearsing, writing, performing,
Yeah.
touring, and that was my introduction into music, into doing music, like
Yeah.
really getting out there.
That's amazing, and big up Laid Black as well, man. Laid
Yeah,
Black
big
is a
up Laid Black.
great Bristol band. Big up the Bungie and Joe Peng and the whole
Yeah,
team, Tracy and
all of the
everybody,
crew.
Felix, everybody. Big up Laid Black. You know what I mean? I've been
Yeah,
privileged to work with them, with playing stage with them, record features
they're
on
so
the album.
talented. They're
They're
so
amazing.
talented. And I was 17. I was the only female. They were all older than me. They were like they are my brothers. And
Yeah,
when you're up on stage next to people like Joe Peng, and the way that he's a lyricist, and he's
it is.
a performer, and he's got his sound and his style, and it took me a while to feel like I could find my roots within the band, because they already had their sound, they had
Yeah,
their vibe, so I was entering into that and finding my way
yeah.
as the time progressed. But it was great to be amongst that much talent and to be able to grow at the pace that I was able to grow.
That's amazing. And it's also as well testament to you as well, and really great for you that after all you have achieved since then, you still managed to go back and do a song with them, because I see you and them release It's a Pity not that long ago.
Yeah, so that was a song that we did years ago, but we never released a video for it. So
Okay.
when Bungie hit me up, he was like, "We're gonna do a video." Tanya Stevens, who is the artist who originally wrote and
Yeah,
released It's a Pity, the Laid Black version was the remix of it.
yeah,
So she gave us her blessing for us to release it, because Joe had written another verse for it, and we had created a almost like, although it was a remix, it was like almost a different take on the song, because you had the male response to the female It's a Pity situation. So
yeah.
in that respect, it kind of grew into a life of its own. And so to have Tanya Stevens' blessing to go ahead and release that,
Mm,
and just the kind of attention that it generated from crowds when we would perform was just, it felt like a natural thing to do. But yeah, that was years ago that we actually did that, and then we did the
yeah,
video a year or so ago. So that was great to
yeah.
get back there with the guys.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, and also as well, I want to just big up Tanya Stevens.
Yes.
Me and her had a battle the other day. Well, last time was at Boomtown. Me and her was at Boomtown, and
Yeah,
we was talking about the song, and I was counteracting her. There's a video of me and her counteracting each other. Well,
you have to
talking
send
kind
that
of
to me.
like a chat battle. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but she was, I must say, give it to her. She literally wiped me out. She's full of lyrics. She's full of chat. That woman is amazing. And
Yeah.
occasionally me and her join forces on Instagram, and the two of us is like on Scream and Instagram and chatting and taking
Yeah.
the mick out of each other. So big up Tanya Stevens as well. She's a legend.
Definitely.
She's absolute legend. But anyway, so you do that. At what stage did you actually started your solo though, and like literally make at your first release as a solo artist?
So I was with Laid Black for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I left because I felt as though I needed to grow and find myself as a
Mm.
solo artist and also as a songwriter. I've always been very versatile and eclectic with my sound and with the kind of music that I like to create, which serves me well as a songwriter, because I can
Yeah.
jump into different genres and mix them up, and it keeps things exciting for me. So
Yeah.
I left and I was working with a few local producers that I'd met in Bristol. And
Mm-hmm.
also I was very much within the live music scene. Like a few of my friends had live music nights where me and people like Raleigh Ritchie and Jay Wilcox, Julius, DJ Caesar, Bree, lots of us
Oh,
would go to these live music nights and we'd all jam with a live house band. And that was a great time for us to just like
express yourself.
express ourselves, yeah,
Yeah.
and collaborate and see, who's doing what, who wants to work on what. And
Yeah.
then it was actually at one of these live music nights that I was introduced to who would become my manager, a guy
Mm-hmm.
called James Collingwood,
Mm-hmm.
um who is who manages Raleigh Ritchie, who's also a Bristol artist, a very,
Yeah.
really good solid songwriter as well.
Yeah.
So when James started managing me, I was going, back and forth to London. I was working with more producers. I was trying to make a name for myself as a songwriter
Yeah.
because I always wanted to be a songwriter as well as an artist. I wanted the two to run parallel.
Yes.
And for a time, I was able to do that, in the
Mason.
beginning. Yeah.
What was your first song that you released solo?
My first solo song
Yeah.
as my own, as in Tanya Lacey,
Yeah.
Letter to My Ex, and Born to Fly, which was the B-side.
Okay. Letter to my ex. Before I ask my next question, I want to hear a little bit of that for anybody who haven't heard that one yet.
Okay. I wrote a letter to my ex just to get it off my chest. Had to let him know I'm about to blow. I'm gonna be a star. STAR. Yeah, that was the chorus.
Oh, beautiful. I can see like your music, like when I listen to the songs and the lyrics and the way you sing it as well, is like it's not made for underground.
Oh, thank you. I've always been very
It's a mainstream sound, like stuff that you can listen to anywhere. You know what I mean?
thank you.
So
Thank you.
and so have you ever released an album?
I released an EP and
Mhm.
I'm working on my next EP now.
Mhm.
But Future, you know what it's like. You plan and then life comes in and goes,
Not
not
yet.
yet. So my journey it's been crazy,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
nothing happens before it's time. So
yeah.
I've got plenty ready to release, but I'm not rushing it.
All right. There's two other things that I need to find out from you as well that I'm going to ask you step by step. You have actually entered The Voice.
Yes.
So my first question about The Voice is, why did you choose to enter The Voice?
It's more to do with the timing of it. So
Mm-hmm.
prior to The Voice, I had a very dark couple of years where I battled with depression and I was in a very, very, very dark place. And when if you're an alcoholic, you might go through AA and you go on different steps in order to become sober and to find yourself again.
Yeah.
I put myself through almost like a 12-step program, but it was more of a holistic way of healing myself
Mm-hmm.
after everything I'd gone through with my journey in music and
Mm-hmm.
and so the last step of my recovery in a way and my battle with depression and anxiety and all of those things that come with you know being in a very dark place was to get back on the proverbial horse, and that being get back out on stage.
Yeah.
So by going on The Voice at the time that I did, it was more about the courage that I had and
Yeah.
the bravery to go on national TV to
Yes.
prove to myself that I still had what it took to be in music.
Yeah.
So it wasn't about the show, it wasn't about winning, it was about getting back on the horse
Yeah.
and putting myself on the line, really, because when I look back now in retrospect, that could have been something that put me through a stage of regression with my healing, but it actually was the cherry on top, and it helped me to really put a lid on that chapter and
Yeah.
to carry on moving forward, knowing that I was good enough.
Amazing. We're not finished with that yet. I want to
I
know.
knew you were going to
I
say that.
I want to know. I want to
Go
know
on.
first before I ask my other question is
Mm,
judging from what you just explained and the situation you've described of how you was and was going through when you went on that stage and they and was singing
mm.
and it took a while for them to turn around. What was going on in your head when no one?
Fuchaman, I was terrified. When I look back and watch that,
Yeah.
I can hear all of the nervousness in my voice, especially when I initially start singing. Before I get to that big note in the chorus,
Yes.
this was you have to keep into consideration. I'd spent weeks and weeks in bed, not able to do anything. I didn't see anybody. I didn't even listen to music. I rejected everything to do with music for a period of time because I was so in a state of despair.
Yeah.
So when they didn't turn round, I just needed to get through that performance. I just needed to get through it. And as soon as they did turn around, obviously that was a really that was quite a momentous occasion for me, because in a lot of ways it's a funny one. It's like I needed that external validation to a degree, but
Yeah.
it was more that I needed to prove to myself that I could
Yeah.
still do it regardless of the outcome. Like I still had the courage. I
Yeah.
was still tenacious, which is
Can,
something that I'm very proud of. It's a part of my character that, ironically, is a part of my character that has been able to flourish because of the journey, because it's been difficult at times. It's
yeah.
molded me to be a certain character, you
Yeah.
know?
And actually, while you was doing that, me, I
Yeah.
just said that that pressure wasn't just on you. Me and a lot of other people was watching it and rooting for you. We know you was
Oh,
coming
thank
on.
you.
We was rooting for you. So like when they actually turn around, I mean, we can't explain or describe how you must have been feeling, but we was
Mm.
there going, somebody better turn around because we was there rooting for you. I'm like, they got to turn around.
Oh,
So
thank
we was
you.
like really happy that it when it happened. But my next thing is you actually that night announced that you've co-written one of will.i.am song.
Mm.
And he didn't even know that you wrote the song, right?
That's,
How did this happen? How did this happen? How did you manage to write a song for will.i.am?
well, you know what? It happened. I was in Atlanta. So when I was signed to Sony, I was doing a lot of work overseas. I spent a lot of time in America,
Mm-hmm.
mainly in LA, Miami, New York, and Atlanta. And
Mm-hmm.
during a trip in Atlanta, I was working with a producer called Dallas Austin. We were
Mm-hmm.
doing some stuff for my project.
Yeah.
And on the last day of my trip, I had a few hours left before I was due to go to the airport. And I just thought, well, I might as well just spend those hours in the studio.
Yeah.
And I was just hanging out. Dallas was playing some ideas, and I jumped on the mic and started coming up with this melody for the hardest ever chorus. And then also the middle eight section in which J-Lo sings was also part of the idea.
Mm-hmm.
We put the idea down, we sent it off to Sony to see what they'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really thought anything of it. Sony didn't really think anything of it. It was pretty much an unfinished idea. It was just a few
Mm-hmm.
melodies and ad libs and a few lyrics here and there. And then fast forward a few months, maybe 6, 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think either will.i.am was in the same studio and heard the idea, or something got shared, and then he said, "Oh, I want to jump on this," and then worked on it, and it became the hardest ever, and that's how it happened. So I never actually met will.i.am. It wasn't like we were in a studio session together.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
just like,
actually,
yeah.
now that we're talking about this, for people who missed it, would it be rude to ask it to do like the hook from that song for people to know what song we're talking about? For those who haven't know what song it is yet.
Yeah, sure. So it was not a very complex hook. It was just, you can go harder, you can go home. 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 It's quite chanty. It's quite sort of,
it is a
you
very
know,
big tune. I'm just asking you to do it because, like, for people who missed um, that whole thing that happened that night when will.i.am was like, shocked and absolutely amazed. And you could tell he was so happy that he turned around because he'd be so embarrassed. And if he actually, hey, the girl who wrote that hit song for you, that's who was just there and she just gone back home.
yeah. He
So,
did.
so that was
He
like
did
a
turn
really,
around though initially. He
yeah,
stole me.
I know, but he was but he was happy that he was still there because
Yeah, yeah,
we can imagine for him as well. That would just be really embarrassed that somebody that is good enough to write a song for you is not good
yeah.
enough for you to turn around for. But obviously, you was amazing when you did it, so there was no surprise that we were, like I said, we was all so happy that he got there. And then the next morning, I
Thank
saw you
you.
on Good Morning Britain. I think was it like the Monday morning I saw you on Good Morning Britain.
Yeah, something like that. You know,
Yeah,
they just it's just so quick. Bam, 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 bam.
yeah.
Oh,
Well, because you was the person that was in there, you might have missed these things, but people like me didn't miss those things because I was very happy and very
oh,
impressed.
thank
And I was
you.
like, oh man, Tanya Lacey on Good Morning Britain. That's amazing. You know what I mean? So it was like still rooting for you and like really proud of you that you're out of
Appreciate that.
Bristol and is doing these things, you know what I mean?
Thank you.
So that was amazing. So basically all of these things happened then, and what did you do next? And the reason why I'm going to ask you why you do next, the reason why I'm asking this, there's like a massive thing about the voice that very often the people who've been on the voice, nobody don't really hear from them again after that. So I just have to ask
Yeah,
that. It's like you must have heard that before, that people is saying
yeah,
like, yeah.
it's kind of true.
Yeah, that's what
Oh, what do I do? What do
everybody's
I do
saying, yeah.
next? I
Mhm.
went into education.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in the studio all the time.
Hmm.
And I write on different projects, be that artist projects or for TV or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm always gonna do. I'm always gonna be creative in that way.
Hmm.
Um, my my ideas of success have changed quite a lot, I
Hmm.
would say, since when I first entered the industry, which was over 10 years ago. So I've grown in a lot of different ways, and
Hmm.
my outlook is very, very different to how it was in the beginning. And my experience has enabled me to think differently about what I deem as success.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I'm also really interested in nurturing and developing other artists and other songwriters and
Yeah.
sharing what I know, because
Yeah.
I believe that, throughout my entire career to date, I've had so many amazing mentors and so much help and support
Hmm.
from producers, teachers, um, business mentors. And so it's so important to keep that going. So
Hmm.
now I'm in a position where I feel like I can help other people.
Yeah.
That feels like a natural next step for my journey. So after The Voice, I was still in the studio. Life didn't change massively for me, and funny enough, I knew a lot of the people that were a part of the show because of being in the industry. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I gained a mass of new contacts.
Hmm.
But again, it was about the experience, and it was more about that milestone for me personally to go through that and to get
Yeah.
back on the horse. And I went into education. I was doing a lot of songwriting workshops and creative workshops for young people.
Hmm.
And then it was all very organic. The journey led me down the path of being involved in musical communities and being on the board of trustees for the Beacon, which is formerly known as the Colston Hall,
Hmm.
and being integral in those decisions that impact the future of creativity and music.
Hmm.
And I love that. I'm really enjoying that side of me that I never really thought I had, or
Yeah.
it's a part of the journey I hadn't anticipated. So it's nice to be able to have that,
Yeah.
as well as the creative side.
That's amazing. So basically, there's some great things that happen here and there. Before I ask you my next question, is there any other artist that is out there in the mainstream field that you actually wrote for or co-wrote as well?
What, any artist, mainstream
Yeah.
artists? Quite a few different mainstream artists. I've co-written with Basement Jaxx, Tori Kelly,
Oh wow.
Emily Sandé, Labyrinth.
What?
Um, there's quite a few different. It's mad, you can never. I've written stuff with Talisa. Some stuff, really exciting stuff, is coming from that. There's always, you know, I always think good music or good melodies will find a home, and some of the artists that I found myself co-writing for, I never would have anticipated it, because some of the artists' music might not necessarily be my type of music, but
Yeah.
sometimes you have no control over what you create, and it finds its home, you know.
That's very true. That's very true.
Like
That's
you must write stuff. Does everything that you write all sound like Fuchaman, or do you write stuff that you're like, where did
no,
that
man.
come from?
No, I'm like very often I'm driving. People sometimes said to me, "You only listen to your own music," because I wrote so much songs.
Yeah.
I've done 7 studio albums, probably about 6 EPs,
Wow.
about
Yeah.
6 EPs and multiple singles. That
Mm.
sometimes I never really get a chance to listen to some of my songs. Sometimes when the
Yeah.
producer contact me and said, "We want to do a video for that song," I got to go back. It's only last week Saturday. It's only last week Saturday. A producer contact me, prior to that, saying that they want to film a song that I
Yeah.
featured in, and I had to go back and learn the lyrics before I could do the video, because it's like I have not performed, even with my band. Me and my band been traveling and performing.
Yeah.
My Fireblaze band.
Yeah, you're
Even though
brilliant. I
we've
saw
been,
you at Carnival at the 50th anniversary.
yeah.
You look fire.
Thank you. Thank you. So there's like, I have still yet to perform off of
Mm.
my songs. So
Mm.
I've got so many songs that been released, and I've never actually performed that song anywhere outside of the studio, because there's like so much songs. Sometimes the guys from my band is going, oh, it's the first time I heard this one. We should play this one. That one is sick. Let's do this one. I'm like, just choose which one you want. But then I'm
Yeah.
forever have to learn my own songs that have, because music is like, for me, is like, I just love singing. I sing every day, and I will just, if I heard a beat that I like, it doesn't take me long to come up with a
Yeah.
song, because I write from my heart and what I'm
It's just
feeling.
in you,
It's
right?
just in me, and right, so I just
Right.
have to let it out. I think I would go
Yeah.
crazy if I didn't sing. If I didn't
Same.
sing and get out all of these things that going in my head, I'll be completely barking mad. I tell you that now,
Yeah.
because I can't live without it.
Oh,
Literally.
same. Future, I'm with you, man. I'm with
Yeah,
you.
like
It's so
literally.
important. It's so important.
It is
And that's
very
why
important.
I'm so passionate about music education, because we're
Mm,
not the only ones. There's so many artists and aspiring musicians out there, and they need that outlet.
yeah,
It's
it
very
is.
integral to our development as human beings to have an
Mm,
artistic outlet and to have that expression and to be
yeah.
able to channel it somewhere, you know?
It is true. And I mean, like, there's something that you said earlier that I am like, literally, I can relate to completely. My views and success in the music industry has changed completely over the
Mm,
years, because I actually realized that I have been really successful a lot more than I thought I have.
yes.
Because when I look back where I started out, a little boy in tear up clothes and no shoes in Jamaica, as a kid growing up that just had
Wow.
this aspiration for singing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
over the years, lots of people pay good money and send me plane ticket and pay for me to come perform in different countries and all of these
Mhm.
things. So I think sometimes we can be over ambitious, that we look past the things that we would actually back in those days would be an absolute dream. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I'm like, I was thinking to myself, actually, I have done well. I've been to all of the
Yes.
country. People pay me their good money. People spend their good money to pay for my hotel and plane ticket and treat me like a king.
Hmm.
I have done all right, not because I'm not on the mainstream thing and everybody calling my name, but I've done all right. So my views now is like, it changed for me now, is like doing music that makes sense and stuff like
Yeah.
what I'm passionate about. And
Yeah.
I also stopped tracing record labels and stuff because at one point they were trying to make me into UK Sean Paul, which my music
Mm-hmm.
is not about that. My music is about uplifting poor people and bringing
Mm-hmm.
positive vibes. It's not about singing about girl shake that thing or smoke or all of
Mm-hmm.
the other stuff. You know what I mean? But
Mm.
anyway, I'm not gonna like get too deep
You
in
know
this.
what though, Future Man? I feel like, I have this conversation with quite a few of my friends who are in the creative industry, and
Yeah,
I feel like it's a natural um progression, I guess, this way of thinking. And I think a lot of it is attributed to as you get older and you step into who you are more authentically,
mm-hmm.
your the veil is lifted and you realize what actually is important in life, and all of the ways that you might have been conditioned to think otherwise, and you start to become a more authentic version of yourself in the
Yeah,
process. And that's a beautiful thing.
it
And I think when you're younger, you're a lot more impressionable, and you're a lot more you're functioning from a more of an egoic state, which means that you are comparing yourself to other people. What
mm-hmm.
are they doing? Why am I not doing that? What are they doing? I'm not good enough. Why am I not good enough? When you are good enough, and you have to trust in the unfolding of your journey, and you have to believe that everything is happening right on time,
is.
even the stuff we perceive to be as negative and bad,
It
you
is
know.
true. It is true, totally, because every man have to live their live. You know,
Mm-hmm.
every man,
Mm-hmm.
every man have to live for themselves. And as they said, every man burden is the heaviest. And every man need to tell their own story as well,
That's right.
whether it
And
suits somebody or not.
everybody's story is valid. Everyone,
Exactly.
we've all got a perspective on this experience we called life, that
Mhm.
we call life, and
Yeah,
it's all valid, and we can all learn something from each other.
of course.
So
But this is what
mhm,
makes us individual. The
yeah.
differences that we have. That's what makes us individual.
But
But
also what makes us unified, because
yeah,
we're all
it is.
here on this planet, doing the best we can with what we know and what we have available.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a common thread in terms of our perception of struggle and the things that we strive for and the things that make us happy,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I totally agree with you. Um, Not to end on the negative note, but I just have to ask you this. Basically, we spoke about a lot of the amazing things that you have been involved in and done. And it's absolutely, when I said amazing, it is, you have done some truly amazing stuff.
Thank you.
But what are some of the challenges that you faced being like
Mm.
from singing as a teenage girl up until now? What were some of the challenges that you actually faced? Because I'm pretty sure it wasn't all just bed of roses and all of these nice things happened. What were some
I
of
had
the
to
difficulties that you faced?
I had to learn how to stand up and stick up for myself
Mm-hmm.
considerably. Um, in a male dominated industry, when you look a certain way, you're vulnerable by default. And I had to really stick up for myself in a lot of situations that weren't that pleasant. And um, it helped me to develop very thick skin, but it's something that is a shame that it had
Because,
to be that way, or that it is that way for so many of us.
yeah,
Um, Ultimately, I do think things are starting to change, but it's not an easy industry. And I remember people telling me, my mentors telling me it's not going to be easy. And you think, yeah, whatever, I've got this. And sure enough, you will come up against obstacles and situations that you could not have foreseen or predicted. And you have to be able to think quickly and
mm-hmm.
assert yourself and think smart. And, you know, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's been there's definitely been a lot of situations that um in hindsight, I don't know if they could have even been avoided, really.
yeah. So it's like a roller coaster journey.
Very much, very tumultuous at times.
Yeah.
But there is something to be said for holding, having your wits about you
Mm-hmm.
and learning from your mistakes and not falling for certain things that you might have been privy to fall for, because you were just naive. or impressionable or super keen to impress,
Yeah.
you know. And I almost feel like in life we have to go through those trials of adversity in order to gain more consciousness and gain more strength and clarity
Yeah.
over our situation and how we move forward. So
Mm.
I wouldn't change anything, but
No.
it wasn't easy.
What doesn't kill you make you stronger, right?
It really does.
Yes. So basically, I'm asking you this as well because like I have noticed even as a male artist that
Mm,
I deliberately first let I say I deliberately go out of my way to find female artists to tell their story in my podcast
mm-hmm,
because I noticed that for a female artist, very often, even if she's like so much better than the male artist, she don't get the recognition that she deserve and the support that she deserve.
mm,
She don't actually get that. And I mean that a lot of female artists like literally have to go through the rings to actually get people to listen, you know, and to show or expose their talent if you like. I
mm.
as a man have recognized the journey that females have to go through. So if a man have to take 10 steps, a female probably have to take 25.
Mm,
That's what I've noticed, and
mm-hmm.
that need to change. I think it is changing
Yeah.
because equality between male and female, yeah, I think is on the up, and so rightly so. I'm a great advocate for that. I do think that women need to be treated just as equal for men, and that's why I got so many females on my podcast, and I will keep trying to get females to come and tell their story.
That's why we come on your podcast and support you, because
Thank you.
we're not asking for any more than what we're due. It's about the equal opportunity.
It is very
If
important.
you if you have the you know if you have what it takes, you shouldn't be held back because of your gender.
Equal rights and justice for all must be what it
Yes,
said. It must be without limitation,
absolutely.
you know. So
So big up
before we,
yourself.
sorry,
Big
sorry.
up yourself, future man. I
Oh,
hope
thank
more.
you,
I hope
thank
more
you.
people take a leaf out of your book, because you know it's a movement. It's a movement that I see. Men like yourself and others. Who friends of mine, especially in the industry.
Mhm.
They get it, and
Yeah.
and if there are more of you, then gradually that the movement will get stronger, and be a
Well,
better situation for
well,
all.
well. They said the longest journey starts with the first step, and I think we're a few steps in, so we're going in
Yeah.
the right direction. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
the last thing I want you to do, I need to
Yeah.
put you on the spot again, and I want you
You
to.
listen, future man. I've been singing all day this whole interview.
I know because I just love it. I love it, and I think you got an amazing voice, and I think it'd just be rude of me not to get you to just sing me another a cappella from a Tanya Lacey song.
It's that smile. How can I say no when you like this?
Thank you. Right?
Go on then. What's the last thing there, future man?
Yeah, I want you to sing me any song of your choice of your own, one of your songs.
Anytime.
Mhm.
When someone asks you to sing a song and all of a sudden you have no idea what any song sounds like because you're on the spot. That's what's
Yeah.
happening right now.
I know, don't worry. It's the same thing that happened to a lot of male and female artists when I do it to them.
Do they
That's
say
why
the
I do
same
it.
thing?
Of course, it happens all the time. Especially when you got a lot of songs.
All right, I'll do a bit of Born to Fly. So oldie.
Yes.
I know you like the way I'm so ready, box steady, hit heavy. Yeah, I got it all on lock. When it comes to making cake, well, you can be the icing. I'm still gonna be the cherry on top. Now you say I sold out show, so forgive me if I get a little pop. I can't remember. I can't remember.
Jeez, that was sick. Thank you. That's good. That's good. I love it. I love it. Tanya Lacey,
Future man,
thank you
it's been
so
a
much for
pleasure.
joining me. I wish you a lot of love, a lot of happiness, and a
Likewise.
whole lot more success. And hopefully, we will catch up in person one day. You
Yes,
know?
that would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, future man. Thank you for your time.
It's the pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, and
No
I look
problem.
forward to catch you soon. Take care.
Take care.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye. Bye bye.